Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion.
Hello once again, and welcome to Poetry in Motion Sunday. I'm Craig Lewis, and you're watching episode 17. As we begin with my first poem of the day, this one is called He Pawned His Decks. There was once a young man they called Lionel, kept himself to himself at most times. He had such a collection of vinyl, his DJing skills were sublime. He'd been practicing since he was 9, but because he was humble and often would mumble, not many knew this to be fact. Still, not one could deny, if Lionel would try, he could put his hometown on the map. His skills were advanced. If given the chance, he could do this whilst taking a nap. But the gift, the gap, he did not have. His shyness is what held him back. Then time moved on, his youth had gone. His records now gathering dust. Could have been popular, but didn't honor the process with his trust. The patience he lacked was an ache in the back. He feels like a robot at work. There's jobs he don't like to pay for his flat, with no woman to iron his shirts. His curse is one we've all met, analyzing all the regrets. He became a father, his life returned harder, and last week he pawned his decks. And my second poem, this was called The Procrastinator. He would stall the process to cook and plate up. If waiting on him, you would starve. Procrastinating was well in his nature. Timekeeping for him was hard. He's partial to change, and his car would remain filthy until further notice. From the simplest tasks, he's known to drift before he'd return focus. His bed was not made for days on end, hence he would live on his own. On takeaways, his wages he spent, more than putting credit on his phone. He'd miss calls and not return them until the caller kicked a fuss. Bills is like he burnt them, because to pay he was not rushed. I'll get round to it when I do it, this he'd often say. If anyone does know him well, they'd say he'd lost his way. In his life girls came and went, and one's not shocked to say. Frustrated by his ways they'd vent, and thus he'd step away. And now he's knocking 50, not too picky, not at all. Anytime he sleeps, of course, it's loud he's got to snore. Never got round to tidying up the clothes from off his floor. And my third poem is called She Argued with Her Past. She argued with her past much often, in the mirror with her thoughts. The ones who genuinely cared, she lost them, twice married and twice divorced. The thorn in her flesh seems like it's embedded, and this just bring her to tears. Reduced her respect to the more guys she bedded, and some were younger in years. As judgment was passed, she would just laugh. To some this would seem a front. They tried to call the bluff she wore, as if she was pulling a stunt. But deep inside it hurt for sure. She's 34 and alone. But much would be worse. She's more blessed than cursed. She's the owner of her home. But what's left on the earth, she feels stuck in reverse, like a car when it's rolling downhill. The fun and the games with several names are good, but she wants something real. The type of romance that the movies show is the kind she would love to pursue. As days progress, she's losing hope, and she knows not what to do. But she found the answer. It came like a song, strummed by the sweetest guitar. The voice in her head was loud as a gong, and it told her, just love who you are. And my fourth and final poem is called It's How She Got By. Her face was expressive and thin, as much as she seemed alive to the human eye. Inside she felt death's sting, like the bliss from the cold felt by those that keep on the path, who subtly plead that you slip them some cash. enough to secure just one night in the warm so they could dry from the previous storm. They say choices shape what we see, but some say they did not ask to be born, departed and torn from the will to be free, from the torture of oneself with weight like dumbbells on their shoulders, and think selfies of opposers, seeking to arrest attention for some likes on their socials. She tried to abide to the old rules, but love for her neighbor did never seem natural. From the will of her father she strayed, until the scriptures did not seem so factual. Her God became the high that she chased. Her body she sell for sex 'cause it's practical. She's 5'1" with the tiniest waist. The only time she could numb the pain was when she was high off her face. And there you have my 4 poems for your poetry fix this week. Hope you enjoyed. Until next week, short and sweet. Take care.
Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday poetry in motion. Poetry in motion, Sunday.